Workplace harassment. Is one of the goals in Gangstalking to turn you into a homeless vagrant? Of course. That's what they want. They don't want you to feel successful in anything. They want to ruin every aspect of your life. And it kind of depends on who you are and what you're dealing with. If you're that little guinea pig in that government experiment, they might not want to do that. They might just kind of push you here and there. But if you've been set up, if you've been selected for that special treatment, by people who want to ruin your life, or by, them. We'll just call it them right now. They're not going to back off, and your work environment is a prime target. Let's face it, work is stressful without being harassed. Getting up every day and exchanging, the only time you have to live on this planet for mundane activities, hard labor, stressful situations, dealing with people you wouldn't even normally talk to. That's work. And sometimes it can even be dangerous, I'm that delivery guy, and I got to risk my life in traffic so someone can have their tacos, man. I've seen some pretty scary stuff, and when the weather gets bad, it gets icy out there, it's like, really? You're only going to give me a $2 tip, man? Oh, wow, I almost died on the way here with your Chinese food. But that's just the way it is. And you got to deal with rush hour or anything. But getting back to, the strategies of gang stalkers. They don't want you, to have resources, because that means you're going to be able to battle them, right? We've talked about the fact that, ripping away the foundations of your existence is crucial in gang stalking. A lot of targeted individuals become homeless. It happens, and you can see why. Okay? And you don't even have to deal with that super intense workplace harassment that we're going to deal with in order for that to happen, because when a person becomes stressed out, when they become frazzled, it's hard to think, it's hard to do work anyway. Right? It depends on what you're doing. I've talked about that too, where if you're trying to reach out into, one of those real professional careers, and you're getting attacked, you're dealing with, a lot of pressure. That's a good setup, to gaslight you into believing that you're a failure. And, it's just, a lot of pressure you might not be able to deal with. So if you're that person and you're dealing with intense harassment, you might want to simplify, your job. And that's what we're going to deal with first. Because targeted individuals do deal with that workplace harassment. If you got something simple, it's a whole lot easier to maintain your work. Okay? And I talked about that with a guy that I was dealing with about a year ago. And I told him, man, get a job, any job, because the guy was unemployed, that, you don't have to deal with a lot of people, right? There's no pressure. You're not a salesperson, in other words. You're not really dealing with the public. You're kind of off in your, little, cubby hole, and you have your little routine, and you just do it. And it doesn't really present a whole lot of opportunities for people to mess with you. And the job that I suggested this guy would get would, be like a dishwashing job, or, the chicken fryer at KFC, something simple, the janitor thing, something. Because, what happens in the workplace is, they try to make it look legitimate. And if you're out there trying to work with the public, maybe answering phones or working the cash register, taking orders and all that kind of stuff, if you're in the food industry, which is really easy to get into, just as an example, you're going to have that. I dealt with some pretty weird stuff, man. I remember when it first started, I was working doing the pizza delivery thing. I've done a lot of that, because, when you get harassed, it's always nice to be able to leave. And when you go on a delivery, well, you get out of the store. And plus, if it's crazy busy, let the people that are the in-store employees deal with it. You get to leave, and sometimes the boss can get pretty, riled up. But, that was a good option. And I would be taking orders. I would be doing something. I'd be on the phone, and I had people messing with me, coming up and doing stuff, yelling in my ears, literally, messing around with a phone, using the street theater and all that kind of stuff. And it was just, it was obvious. Of course, it always is for targeted individuals, at first, because they have to know what they're doing. But, the opportunities that present themselves, if you're in a work environment, are going to dictate how they get to you. If there's no legitimate reason for these people to be in contact with you, for them to be around you, within earshot, I've seen a lot of different tactics. You get the directed conversation. They don't even have to be talking to you, right? They just happen to be having that loud conversation, or just loud enough for you to hear, that involves maybe personal information. And you have to have a very strict criteria for that. And you shouldn't be listening anyway. Okay, that's where we're going to go with that. If you're getting directed conversations, if people are being passive, like I said, try to get away. Try to find something to where there isn't a whole lot of opportunities for people to be around you. The excuses for them to be up in your business. Like I said, with the dishwashing thing, you're busy. You're usually working. If somebody is, going to interact with you, it should be very brief. And you have plenty of, excuses to just, go back to doing what you're doing. Usually dishwashers are working, alone, not always. Whatever. You get the picture. There are jobs like that. And it's preferable. Now we have the gig economy, which opens up a lot of options. If you have a good driving record and a vehicle, you're your own boss. Period. Forget about workplace harassment. You will get harassed while you're out working. Okay, that's going to happen. But you know what? It's not going to be the same thing. You're not going to be trapped. You're not going to be in that harassment cubicle of death where you can't get away. People are using passive techniques, right? And, when it comes to the management, that's when it really gets evil, because it's one thing to deal with stress and little comments and get your chain yanked, okay? And you got to learn to deal with that. I'm sorry, but you are going to have to take that. As a targeted individual, you're going to learn that, you can't react. You can't get emotional. People are going to do that. And if you react, okay, here's where I'm going with this. If you do get emotional and they know that it bothers you, they're just it's going to get worse. If you try to stand up for yourself, in a way where you're getting emotional, they don't care. That's what they want. Okay. And don't think for a minute that they're not going to go around and say things and prep the situation and lure you into, an emotional debut where people are going to believe disinformation, because a lot of times, that's what targeted individuals are dealing with. They're dealing with, a lot of rumors, a lot of, baloney that makes them look one way or the other way. And it sets them up for that scapegoat role because, one of the mechanisms that keeps this whole thing going are the social dynamics. Not everybody's got to be in on all the things that you think they are. Okay, they don't have to know everything that you think they know. They don't have to be part of a government program to look at you funny or to be in on some type of activity that's going to, jerk your chain or mess with you. It might look like that. You might come to that conclusion syllogistically and reason that in your mind. That can be one of the games that you're dealing with. Okay, you get the smirks. The passive aggressive behavior and all that could just be coming out of that social dynamic, and people are taking advantage of that and being passive, and they see other people harassing you, and it's just going to fall into place. Don't assume that if you're getting looks or you're getting little comments or whatever, that these people know everything that you think they do. That's one of the delusions that's sent to targeted individuals, that everybody knows all their little dark secrets or whatever, or they're all in on this rumor and, they want you to lose and die. Okay, some of it is more innocent than you really know, and it can involve that. So don't let them pull that one on you. Okay, and if you're out there and you're like, oh no, you don't know what they said to me. I know what they said. Okay, I mean, not literally. And I know that you're going to be dealing with personal information, and I know that this can get really weird, and it can go into a lot of different areas, okay? But getting back to what I said about management, when it gets into that area, that's when you might want to start thinking about, finding a different job, man. Try to set up boundaries. Like I said, find something that you can do that's going to limit the opportunities for people to mess with you, and wear a body cam if you're getting that. That really makes it interesting too. It's weird though, that the harassment kind of stops. And even if it's a covert one, that people shouldn't know about, that's when you're dealing with something else. Okay. And I've talked about this before, like on the movie Fallen. Sometimes they or them, they're going to come after you, and they will use people as little sock puppets to torment you, and they can set things up to where, the logistics aren't that people are just out of their mind and possessed or whatever, okay? Because I know I get a lot of pushback on that. But they'll set things up. They will. They can influence people. Look at all the wars in the world and the cultural differences and all that stuff. That's all set up by them. And I've gotten into that before with Dr. Michael Heiser's work. When you get into, I think it's Deuteronomy 32, where, after the Tower of Babel, the principalities and powers were set over the nations, to rule the planet. Until, that day that Christ is going to return, and the culmination of, all that stuff is going to come, and it's going to be under his rule. But until that time, that's what you're going to have. You're going to have them out there doing things, ruling nations, geographical areas, and so forth. And sometimes that is what you're dealing with. So, if you're assuming that people have all, hacked your phone or put, cameras in your bathroom or something, might not be that. You might be dealing with other things. And sometimes, that's where it goes. Not always, but it can get that way, especially if you're moving from job to job and changing your geographical location, and it's everywhere just waiting for you. That's pretty suspicious stuff. And you should be drawing near to God anyway and asking him for help. But you have to be smart, and you have to play the game correctly. One video is not going to be enough for this. So this was part 1, workplace harassment. Guys, be good to yourselves. Be safe.